I'm standing in for a colleague who's in hospital today, so John was actually talking about my colleague when he mentioned the word luminary there. And we are going to have a laugh today at the expense of some of your competitors, both agencies and brands who've deployed mobile in a very embarrassing manner. So I did think I would expose some of the bad stuff today, as well as some of the good stuff, because there's some great stuff out there. My company, Incentivated, we started doing text and wins because that's all you could do in mobile when it first started 10 or 12 or 13 years ago, hence the name, hence Incentivated, incentive, etc., etc. But I'm probably going to talk very little about the text and wins today because my understanding is that most people in this room know how those work and have probably successfully run text and wins. So maybe I'll focus more on loyalty programs, CRM, shopper acquisition, that kind of thing. We run a number of loyalty programs for retailers, achieved through messaging, through apps, through sites, even through QR codes, although I'll come on to QR codes in a moment. While they are very useful little things, they don't actually do very much. So don't put your entire strategy in a QR code. Quick sort of follow-up to what we do. I see mobile as being made up of these four components. The bit that we don't do is media. We are not a planning and buying agency. We're not a media owner. We are marketing services, and those marketing services cover technology, both products and services. So we'll give you a product or we'll do some bespoke development for you. And creative and strategy. The strategy being not media strategy, obviously, but general marketing strategy as it impacts mobile. And we're very proud to be, as of a couple of months ago, one of Google's chosen partners in the UK for their Getmo. I think it used to be called GoMo until they found that somebody else had the URL. They rebranded Getmo, and I think we've used the wrong logo there. But the Google Getmo project, Google is trying to get all of you to mobilize your websites. And if you speak to your Google representative, they will recommend a number of parties, of which we're one, to help you do that kind of thing. And there's a little bit more information about exactly that. So here's something I could use today to guide this, this session, this presentation. This bit, which is the content slide, and everything else is optional. I'd like you to tell me what you would like to focus on. We're running a little bit late today, and I've got three broad areas that I could cover, and I'd like a show of hands against those three, please. Why use mobile, how effective is mobile, and how to deploy mobile. So in order to help me focus in on which of those three areas you'd prefer, maybe we could have a hand raised for why use mobile? Everybody's convinced, great. How effective is mobile? Oh, blimey, right, that's the bit I didn't write. And how to deploy mobile, which is the practical session. Okay, the second and the third, almost equal. You're all hired rather than fired. So I will actually probably skip this bit or go through this very, very quickly. That is the wave of activity that is mobile. That is the year of mobile there, happening sometime in the 18th century in Japan. And about 2 years ago, many people will remember that happening around the boardroom table or the marketing group within the brand, where somebody realized that they ought to have a mobile strategy, and everybody else around the table was a little bit busy reading the website on their tablet or iPhone. So we've passed that point, and in fact, looking at the Gartner hype cycle, I think we've gone past the peak of inflated expectations, and we're on the slope of enlightenment. Certainly, clients and agencies talking to me believe that there is still an upward slope to come, that slope of enlightenment there, but we've gone past the trough of disillusionment. And sticking to the democracy that we are, we'll skip all this rubbish. You all know, I think, that there are more eyeballs on mobile than there are dollars, and we need to, collectively, we need to address that. Google thinks that there's 28% of all time on the web is through mobile. That's a big number. I think Google probably has an axe to grind there. But why it's the slope of enlightenment rather than the trough of disillusionment or any other part of that graph is that the vast majority, and this is actually US data, but it's very similar in the UK, the vast majority of the population do not yet have a smartphone. It's just shy of 50%. Well, it's at 50% in the UK. It's just shy of 50% in the US. And that's a lot still to happen. So it's clear that consumers are doing things on mobile. My feedback from clients and agencies is they understand the difference between apps, sites, and messaging. There is a recognition amongst the marketing managers that the mobile browser is more powerful than the desktop browser. Okay, you can do some crazy stuff on Google Chrome on your desktop, but that's only one browser that nobody actually has, or very few people have, whereas that same technology exists on pretty much every smartphone right now. There is a realization, as I said earlier, that the QR code is a mechanic and it's not a call to action or a communication channel in its own right. And I think most clients that I talk to tell me that they have caught up with the competition in terms of doing the basics, and they now want to leapfrog the competition, and the way to do that is to get the UX right on mobile. We're probably getting into a second phase of mobile where just having a crappy presence on the mobile internet that looks shit is not good enough, and it's about time that people invested in the user experience. The consumer is way ahead of you in the sense that they're doing more on mobile through entertainment sites or social networking sites than they are through brand sites. It's being led by the consumer, and brands are very much catching up. But the consumer is one step ahead and has very high expectations, and those expectations are improving or increasing all the time. If you're selling jewelry, in the case of Tiffany or De Beers, then mobilize just for the iPhone. That's a good idea. But the iPhone is only 8% of the UK population. It is the most interesting percentage. It's the most interesting group. They are richer. They are, well, they're middle-aged, actually. They're not younger or older. They're right bang in the middle. They do tend to be richer. But unless your target audience is just the iPhone, you're really going to be missing out on a lot of sales if you focus only on that. In fact, if you look at browsing by unique users, now forget if you're selling things, if you're looking to incentivize, if you're looking to convert, then really forget about page impressions and visits, because you can't sell something, the same thing, to somebody several times each time they come back to the website. You've got to look at it from a unique user perspective. And if you do, BlackBerry is still the #2 browser in the UK. Not Android. It's quite some way behind. It will quickly catch up, I'm sure. Then again, if Microsoft buy Android, I think we'll all be in for BlackBerry will all be in for a shock. So the iPhone is the main browsing device at the moment. These are UK stats, but BlackBerry is the #2, and BlackBerry, as we'll see later, converts higher than iPhone and Android. Put a BlackBerry user on your page if it's optimized for mobile, and they will convert at a higher rate than iPhone and Android for now. In fact, the iPhone is a declining proportion of conversions, of sales, and I don't mean handset sales. This is not a graph of the number of handsets sold. This is the proportion of sales made through an m-commerce site by device. Yes, iPhone was up at 50%, that's where it started, but it's coming down quite rapidly, and the other devices, including the tablets, are increasing, with Android and BlackBerry increasing faster.